we are still on Jenkins. This time around, we want to look at the Jenkins architecture. And for the purpose of this session, I want to call it the controller agent architecture. That might not sound familiar to you. Maybe you've heard master-slave architecture, but it is important to know that Jenkins has renamed the architecture, right? Because it is seen, the master-slave architecture expression is seen as offensive, right? So you wouldn't want to find yourself in a professional environment and saying master-slave architecture, right? So you need to move with the current trend. Now, just as you have in real estate, they hardly say master bedroom any longer. They rather call it primary bedroom. So the same applies to this, right? Let's see some articles we see online. See, in 2016, the Jenkins community decided to start removing offensive terminology within the project. The slave term was depreciated in Jenkins 2.0 and replaced by the agents. So let's see on the official Jenkins website, let's see what they have to say. So the Jenkins controller is the original node in the Jenkins installation. The Jenkins controller administers the Jenkins agents and orchestrates their work, including scheduling jobs on agents and monitoring agents. Agents may be connected to the Jenkins controller, either using the local or cloud computers. Okay, now that's about that. So what do we need to do if we have to set up agents? So what do we need to do? So right now we have this controller node, right? Let's see, how do we see what we have? Controller node, which is this. Okay, let's go to manage Jenkins and let's see, manage nodes, right? You see, right now we see the built-in node, that's the controller node. This is all we have at the moment, right? And we want to set up, let's say, 2 agents, right? So what determines the kind of agents you set up? The determinant is the environment you are working, right, in. If you have 4 environments, maybe staging, dev, production, UAT, you might want to set up 4 agents, right? So that you can run each environment on each agent, right? On different agents. So that said, let's just illustrate this by starting up 2 agents, right? So what it means is that we need to create 2 instances on AWS. That's what we want to do. So, but before we proceed, let's quickly do something here, which is very important. You know, from the last session, we looked at how important plugins are. So for this task, I want a plugin, and that plugin, let me look for it. It is Ssh Agent Plugin. So let's just have this installing while you have it here. Let's say available, Ssh Agent. SSH agent. So I want to install this, install without restart. So let's proceed to AWS and quickly set up 2 instances, right? I'm trying to create agents, right? So I'll create, we'll call them Jenkins agent. Jenkins agent, right? Jenkins agent. I want to use Red Hat. What else do I want to use? I want to select, let me select T2 medium here, right? I'll select T2 medium. We select Ademola. So there are different ways of connecting, right, to the agent, for connecting controller to the agent. So one of the ways, right, which we want to explore is connecting through the SSH, right? Other options would be to connect directly to the controller, and that will require setting up ports, right? So, but for this purpose, since I'm just connecting through SSH, I'll just stick to the existing port, just the SSH, right? Don't need to set up any other port, right? So another thing to note is that right here, we can create 2 instances simultaneously. So let's launch instance. So while that is ongoing, so let's see what we have. If we have 2, so let's call this Jenkins Agent 1. There are actually 2 of them. Let's call this Jenkins Agent 1. And let's look at the other one and call the other one, let's see, running. 5 running, okay. So let's call this other one Jenkins Agent 2. Okay, so now that we've established this, what are we going to do next? Let's quickly set up these servers on AWS, okay, on mobile extend, right? So I want to come here, I've copied the IP address for that guy. Let me close this, I'll close this, I'll close this, I'll close this, okay. So have this, right? So I want to set up new session. Let's say I want to call this, that's agent 1. Specify username because this is a Red Hat server. So we have EC2-user. That's a default, port 22 opened. Okay, so we want to put our private key, set up our private key, ademola.pem. Okay, that. Sounds called this agent 1. Rename. We call this agent 1. Agent 1. Agent 1. So let's expand this as much as possible. So agent 1, that's agent 1. So I want to create setup for agent 2 as well. So let's have agent 2. Agent 2. Okay, so this is the IP address for agent 2. So there's something important you should know, right? These are agents, right, that have been set up. So what do we do to do with these agents? Do we need to install Jenkins on them? No, we do not. All we need for this to work is to install Java on them. So all we need to do is that we need to install Java. We do not need to install Jenkins on the agents, right? Because they'll be connected to the controller, right, that already has Jenkins on it. So EC2-user, I want to select private key, ademola.pem, take that, and that will be all. So now that I've done this, what next, right? We've agreed that we do not need to install Jenkins, but we need to install something that will make it work, a dependency, and that is Java, right? That is Java. So we'll come here and say agent 2. Okay, agent 2. Agent 2. Okay, now we have agents 1 and 2. So what do we want to do? The first thing we want to do is to say, okay, because at the end of the day, we want to set up our home within the home of Jenkins within this location, right? So we can make directory and say Jenkins, right? I want to call this Jenkins. So this is going to be the home, right, of Jenkins, right? So we want to do the same here. PWD is, right, PWD, that's what we have. So we want to CD, want to make directory, mkdir, and say Jenkins. Jenkins, okay? So we want to do this. So when we ls, we see we have Jenkins, right? So we want to get the path so that we can use it over there because we'll need it. CD Jenkins. So PWD. So this is the home of, this is going to be the home of Jenkins, right? So now that we've established this, see, we've not done anything significant, right? We've created servers, right? We've logged in and we've just created a directory in each of the servers, right? So we just created a directory in each of the servers. So that's the home, right? So you can see this is all we have at the moment. So what else do we want to do? Remember, I said we need to have Java installed. So to install Java, let's use sudo. Let's use sudo yum install Java, because this is an EC2, this is a Red Hat server. So we want to use sudo yum install, okay, to install Java, because Java is a required dependency to make this work. Without Java, we can't make progress. So we want to install Java on both servers. So we're installing Java using sudo yum. So let's use sudo yum. Let's install Java. Okay. So we'll install Java. So let's install Java here as well. Then we can move away from here and go on with other activities. So now we've installed Java. We've installed Java, so let's move on. So this is our controller node. That's clear. This is our controller node. This Jenkins, that's the controller node. So let's CD. That's our controller node. These are our agent nodes, okay? So now we have this. So let's get moving. So let's get running. So what do we have? Let's keep moving. So we want to come up here. Let's go to our, that's what we have. So let's go to Jenkins, right? So this Jenkins. So we've installed this plugin. So let's go back to manage Jenkins. Manage Jenkins. So when we go to manage Jenkins, how do we add these agent nodes, right? So we need to go to manage nodes. When we click on manage nodes, how do we get there? Firstly, we come to manage Jenkins, right? We go to manage nodes, manage nodes, manage nodes, right? Click on manage nodes. We want to add a new node, add a new node. So let's say agent one for me, right? Let's say I have just two environments, right? I have the dev/stage environments together. I can call this dev/stage, right? That's one environment. Together, I'm commingling them. I'll say, oh, this permanent agent. So it's saying this is not a safe character, so I'll take that out. Dev stage. Okay, let's try this. Will they accept this? Yeah. So we have dev stage. Okay. So I'll say permanent agent. Then I create. Right? So now the description is to say, okay, let's say this is agent one, right? Just for me to know which is which. agent 1, right? So number of executors, what does this mean? It means, oh, the maximum number of concurrent builds that Jenkins may perform on this node, right? We want to specify, you can say 4, right? Depending on what we want to put, right? So when we say remote root directory, right? That's the remote root directory. That's the path that we created, right? This is the home. Here's it. This is the home that we created. Let's see PWD. Let's see. We had the CD, right? We created something earlier, CD to Jenkins, right? So let's PWD now. So this is what we are looking to put in there. This is home, right, of Jenkins. So you come up here, want to come up here and paste this here, right? So that is the home. So since we've established that, it's time to move forward. Okay, it's time to move on, okay? So since we've established this, let's look at the next option, labels, okay? So let's keep moving. So how do we want to use this node? We want to use it as much as possible, right? We want to use it as much as possible. Once said that, we can always come here to change the settings. Now, how do we want to connect? Remember, I mentioned that we can either connect to the controller or via execution of command on the controller. But for us, we want to launch via SSH, right? So remember, that was why we didn't open any port. We just left it at port 22, right? So we want to launch agents via SSH. So you click on this, right? Now I say host. When you say host, what do you mean? Do you mean the controller, right? No, we do not need the controller here. What we need here is the IP address, right? If you are not so clear, we can always look at this. We need the IP address of the agent. Of which agent? That's agent 1, right? We are working on agent 1 at the moment. So we'll come here. IP address of agent 1 is what? So we'll copy the IP address of agent 1. We'll copy that. So I want to put the IP address of agent 1. I want to put that, okay. Okay. And drag this out. Jenkins. Okay, so we can expand. So that's agent 1's IP address, okay? So it's asking for credentials, right? So what do we need to do to create credentials? To create credentials, I need to come in here and add a credential, right? So credentials, ordinarily, how do you log in to your mobile extend? You need IP address, you need key or password, depending on what you need, right? So, but for this, I've not created any password. I've not done password authentication. So password won't work for me. But if I had a password, I could as well come here, come down here and select username with password. Then I come in here, put the name, EC2 the user or whatever name it is, could be Ademola, right? Then I come here and I put the password, right? So if there's password authentication already set up on mobile extend, right? Then that is possible. But right now, that is not possible. The only way I'll be able to get in is to use my key, right? Username and private key, okay? So I select that option. I can say here that I'm looking for my agent authentication. agent authentication. Agent authentication, okay? So username for this agent is EC2, that's the default, and it's going to be the same for the other party, EC2-user. Now, what is the private key? So enter directly the private key, no stored value. We want to add something there. So the private key, I want to go to this ademola.pem. So I've extracted it. So I want to use this private key. I copy that. I paste it here. Okay. I paste it here. So I want to add. So now that we've added, so I want to confirm that it's authenticated. I want to select EC2-user. Okay. So I see it's authenticated, right? So it means, so this part is a very important part you should take note of. There's a drop down here. How did we sign in? We signed in using our key, right? So definitely our login strategy is not through non-host file verification strategy. So let's look at the options we have. We want to use manually trusted key verification strategy. Manually trusted key verification strategy. When you select on this, right? Do you require manual verification of initial connection? No, I want to leave that as it is. Keep agents online as much as possible, right? This is what I want to do. Then once I'm done with this, right? This agent one, right? Remember, dev stage, agent one. So I want to save this. So once I save, I believe some processes are going on in the background, but we can see. Let's check our log. Let's check log. Let's see what's happening at the background. Let's check log. Okay, can see what is happening. Some processes are happening, like the connection process is ongoing. Agent successfully connected and online. You can see this. This shows that the agent has been connected. So let's verify that. Let's go to nodes, right? You can see in sync, right? Shows that it is in sync, right? You can see. So this shows that it is in sync. So now, what else do we need to do? Let's go and see our next steps. So we want to add another node. This time around, we are looking to add the production node, right? The production agents, right? Production agent, right? So we want to also make this a permanent agent, right? So we want to create, right? So it's about the same thing we are going to do, right? So number of executors, I want us to have 4 here, right? Remember, executors, maximum number of concurrent builds that Jenkins may perform on this node, concurrent, right? So remote root directory, this is a compulsory field. And remember, that's the home of Jenkins /home, right? /EC2-user /Jenkins, right? Which we've created now. So labels, usage, we want to use as much as possible. So let's see what we have there. So how do we want to launch, right? Are we using controller? No. We want to launch agents via SSH, right? So if we wanted to use controller, we need to have set up some ports, right? We could open all ports, right? Open all ports for those agents. And we also need to go and set up random, right? Random connection. Yeah, okay. So launch agents via SSH. So you want to click on this, okay? So launch agents via SSH. So host must be specified. So what's this host? Host is the IP address of this agent. And remember, this is agent 2. If you forgot to specify, let's specify agent 2. Right? The first one we worked on was agent 1. So agent 2, let's specify. Let's go copy, right? Agents. Let's see, running. So let's just pick agent 2. So this is the IP address as the host. Okay, so that's the host. So we want to bring that in here. I want to put that in here. So that's the host. So we come here, we go to the host and paste. I want to paste the IP address. Oh, it needs to connect, right? Saying the credentials cannot be found. That will connect this, right? So we just need username and that's the private key, which we've set up here, right? Which is the same. I use the same private key, so to make my life easy. So I selected that. So now, this is a very important part. If we miss it here, we won't get our connection done correctly. So we want to select manually trusted key verification strategy. So do you want to verify anything? No, let's just leave it. So we want to keep our agents as much as possible online, right? So you save this and let's see what happens, right? Let's go to log to see what's happening at the background. Let's go to log. Log. Let's go to log. Okay, let's see what's happening. Log. Agent successfully connected and online. So if we go to nodes, we'll see that the agent 2 is in sync. So these two agents are now in sync with the built-in node. But what else can we use to verify? Let's see if anything has changed. Remember, we set up the home directory for these guys, okay? So let's cd, let's go to the home directory. Let's ls. Let's see what we have here. ls Jenkins. Let's see what we have here. You see, we have these new directories that have been set up. Okay, let's just cd. Okay, we see this new entries here. They are here. When we created this directory, Jenkins, it was blank, right? Now you see we have this, and we should have the same here at the other side. ls Jenkins. ls Jenkins. Let's see what we have in there. You can see remoting and remoting.jar. We didn't have this before now. All right, so that's about all with configuring agents, and I hope you had a nice time. So see you in another session.